give some words on showing up to a race when you're not quite prepared, and maybe some, 4 or 5 things to think about when you're showing up for a race that for one reason or another, life has gotten in the way, you've been dealing with an injury, whatever. Through racing and through life and managing life, if you're doing things, kind of out loud and quick and fast, nothing really ever goes smooth. So there have been lots of races that I have shown up to and been not prepared. But so that, like a 50K race, PR'd at it, got a sub-6. I was not prepared for that race. It was after an Ironman and I had done no training in the middle. That whole after Ironman, you're like, I am doing jack. And I didn't want to do the race, and it was on a 0.86 mile loop. Oh my gosh, it was windy. I didn't want to do it. But I did a number of these things that I'm going to talk about like 5 or 6 things to do. I had the best race ever. I PR'd on most of the distances, the half, the marathon, and then got a sub-6, got first in my age group. And it's because I stopped at every mile. I had my phone on me. I stopped at every loop and tried to take a funny picture. So I really tried to pull myself into a better frame of mind the whole time. Granted, you can't do that on all these races. Stop and take a silly picture, because there might be pictures of me with 3 or 4 traffic cones on my head. But it's just an example of sometimes, number one, on showing up to a race you're not quite prepared for. Attitude is everything. And it's easy to get in a grumpy mood and whatnot, but if you can come from the position of fun, humor, and hopefully joy and laughter, things go way better. The body responds positively when you're in a better mood than when you're grumpy. It is hard to do the hard work when you're grumpy and whining and stuff like that. So attitude is everything. That's why I coach my athletes to keep that finisher picture in mind. Okay, you want a good finisher picture. You don't want snot on your face. You don't want bugs everywhere. You don't want, your shirt to be half riding up or whatever, right? So, attitude is everything. Be on the lookout for the camera. Smile. Say thank you. And say thank you to yourself, because generally it's life that got in the way. I mean, granted, if you kind of were lazy and blew off training and X, Y, and Z for no reason. Now, if you're super stressed out at your job and you blew off training, that's not exactly, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But, if you were just lazy and didn't follow a plan and whatnot, okay, there's that, right? Show up to the race and learn, hey, maybe I should train for this and, get my act together. Find a training journal. I have videos and links on training journals. Find something that helps you to hold yourself more accountable. But, if life got in the way, just attitude is everything. And showing up to a race, it is really important. Okay, so number 2, stick to your training plan. Okay, stick to your nutrition plan. Don't think that just because you didn't prepare for it, or you're not this or you're not that you can't go out and try to stick to the plan as much as possible. Plans are important. Hopefully you've practiced it enough that it will help carry you through the toughest things. So stick to your plan, stick to your nutrition plan. Don't go out and think, yeah, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. So rah, 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 rah. Stick to your plan like you're a pro athlete. I'm a big believer in mantras, in mental grit. And if you are not fully prepared for a race but want to hold to your time, figure out how you're going to motivate yourself to do that. And one thing is saying something to yourself over and over and over again, a mantra. Don't give in, don't give up. Don't give in, don't give up. Or sometimes in a swim, I'll match it up to my swim stroke and say, you are awesome. Or think about that finisher picture. Think about that time that you want. Or think about, we just did Chattanooga, a relay. I was not prepared for the run. I have been nursing a stress fracture in my foot. So Chattanooga was my second pavement run of the season and my second in the heat run of the season, second in the sun run of the season. So I wasn't quite prepared for it. I had done a lot of other things and I knew how to manage the 90-degree heat and the no shade run. And you know, the hills with my newly healed foot. Well, that was a different story, but you know, sometimes racing in a relay as a team, you don't want to suck because the teammates did really good, or, you know, having your people, you know, come by and see your face, that can help. Whatever motivates you, a mantra like, you know, do your best. Okay. And that's one of the things that we can do. Number 3, show up with the mindset of finish lines, not finish times necessarily. Show up at the race, stop judging yourself. It is what it is. And show up and just do your best. Most people don't do their best in a race. They leave a lot on the table. They walk when they don't need to. They listen to the belly aching. It takes a lot of mental grit to show up and do the best that you can, regardless of what that best is. The best is the best of that day. And there's a huge sense of accomplishment when you know that you went to the race and you put everything that you could out on the line. And leave it at that. It's good enough for that day. Learn your lessons. If you need to, move on. Number 4, don't let your mind win. Put your foot down on some things and do your best. Like at Chattanooga, I forced myself to run to each run station. So really didn't allow myself to walk during the middle. So that only works if you follow your plan and your nutrition plan, and that's what you practice and stuff like that. But put your foot down. Some of these things, in order to do your best, you have to find your big girl panties or your guy panties and put your foot down, and don't let your mind talk yourself into walking or doing less than what you know you can do. The mind is a finicky thing and will quit most of the time before the body wants to. Now, there's some instances where that's not the case, but most of the time we need to dig deeper. We need to exercise more mental grit, and put your mind, you know, set it to where you're not allowing yourself to do less than run station to run station. Or if you're swimming, swim all the miles in the workout, or, you know, whatever it is. Don't judge yourself. Do your best. Again, that was number 3. It's also number 5. It's really important. Just do your best. Just go out and do your best and have fun, and look for opportunities to have the best race pictures ever. And then finally, this balance of grace and grit. Okay, you pulled your big girl panties up. You're going to do your best. Prior to the race, it's important to, while you're not in the heat of things and maybe talking to either your coach or somebody else that will call a BS card, don't be afraid to talk about the lines that you're not going to cross. Okay, don't be afraid to say, okay, in the heat, if my heart rate goes up into this zone or this high and I'm not heat acclimated, I'm not going to push myself, you know, do the best that I can. Sometimes doing the best that you can is calling things short, walking when you need to, or whatever. But have those lines figured out. Have that kind of written down on a sticky somewhere. Talk to that with your coach. On when can you call it, and that's doing your best. Ironman Texas, it was hot. I struggle with a heart condition, and so, you know, my spouse and I had talked about, this is when I'm going to call it. This is when I'm going to have to say doing my best is actually quitting the race when X, Y, and Z happens. And, you know, sometimes that's needed. It's totally needed, and it's okay. It's doing your best. for this overall, picture of things. So then you look back at your training before that, you look back at the race, you write down the things that you liked, you write down the things that you wish were better, you take your lessons, the good ones, and the ones that you need to work on, and you just get to work after that. And maybe try not to repeat that mistake if you made the mistake or whatever. So anyway, just some thoughts on how to handle races that you're not quite prepared for. Hope you're having a great day. Namaste.